Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to Life on the Wrist. Hope you all are doing well today. We're going to be looking at this really beautiful Omega Speedmaster Dark Side of the Moon Apollo 8, which, if I can get it to focus here for you guys, which is an incredible piece and a nice part of the Omega Speedmaster sort of history. Deviates a little bit from the traditional Dark Side of the Moons that maybe you're used to seeing. So kind of a nice, let's say, oddball reference in the current production line of Omega Speedmasters. Really beautiful watch. So I'm excited to dive into this watch with you. I'll give you some of an overview of the watch. I'll take a couple seconds to put on my wrist so you can see how it fits on mine. A really beautiful watch. If you want to read more about it, we have an article on lifeonthewrist.com if you want to take a look at that. With that said, guys, let's flip perspectives so you can take a look at this watch. The Omega Speedmaster is a watch that has an incredibly iconic history with its deep connection with the NASA missions that went to space. And this is an example of a watch that definitely symbolizes a lot of the great accomplishments that Omega and NASA had during their partnership. So let's cast our minds back to 1968. The Apollo 8 crew embarked on their mission to become one of the first human crews to circle the moon. One can only imagine the incredible excitement that they probably had, but also the nerves that they felt going into the unknown and seeing something that no other human had ever seen before. They also ended up visiting the dark side of the moon, which was known as the side of the moon that no one had ever actually seen before. So, back in 2013, Omega released a line of watches, or a watch nicknamed the Dark Side of the Moon, or known as the Dark Side of the Moon, which had this black sort of motif to it. And what made this watch really special is it sort of deviated from the traditional makeup of what the Speedmaster was before. So this was back in 2013, but in 2018, Omega released the Apollo 8, which is the watch that you see in front of you here. The watch, the watch aimed to celebrate this great feat that the Apollo 8 crew, had during their mission by celebrating the dark side of the moon and what they were able to see during that time. So if you dive into the details of this watch, you can kind of see the chronograph moving, but this is obviously an Omega Speedmaster, which is an iconic design by the brand. The watch follows the same sort of motif as the original Dark Side of the Moons, where you have this black ceramic case. Let me just get the focus in here. Where you have this sort of black ceramic case, as you can see here. The watch itself is 44 millimeters in diameter, so it is a little bit larger than other watches that you could possibly buy for this price point. But 44 millimeters black ceramic case, 21 millimeter lug width. What really makes this watch different from the original Dark Side of the Moon is the dial. So if you look at the dial of this watch, it has, and it probably actually is a good idea to zoom up for you here so you can actually see what I'm going to be referring to. But what you can see on the dial of this watch, let me get the focus here. What you can see on the dial of this watch is a sort of a moon surface design that's being engraved onto the dial. You have the semi-skeletonized dial here with the engravings of what's known as the dark side of the moon, and you can actually see the movement quite nicely here. That's really what stands out about this piece. You can also see these really beautiful yellow accents on the chronograph hands, Speedmaster, tachymeter, and then the rest of the Speedmaster hands there. The black ceramic case is really nice, really hefty, feels really nice on the wrist. Moving on to the movement, which I'll open up here. I'll take this NATO strap off so you can see it. Is what you can see here is the display case back. So you have this sapphire display case back that houses the Omega the Omega 1861 chronograph movement. You can see on some parts of this movement, if I had the focus correct, on some parts of this movement, you can actually see the moon surface engraving that they use on the dial of the watch on it, especially, for example, this bridge right here. You can see the engraving as well. This is a little bit different than the other Dark Side of the Moons where Omega used the caliber 9400 automatic movement. So I think that actually makes this watch a little bit more special. So you've got yellow accents, which kind of makes it stand out, a different movement that is used that in my opinion actually harkens back nicely to the original Speedmasters that were used on the missions with NASA. So you've got a Dark Side of the Moon that deviates from the traditional Dark Side of the Moon path and brings to light a really important mission that sort of was the first sort of time that the Dark Side of the Moon was seen and explored. On the wrist, I can put it on for you so you can take a look at it, but right now it's on this NATO strap. So you're looking at a watch that is going to sit a little bit larger on the wrist. So you can see here, I haven't done the straps, but maybe I'll do that for you so that you can get the full look here. So on the wrist, you can see it does sit a little bit larger. A little bit larger on the wrist. My wrists are relatively small, but this 44mm watch actually doesn't fit too badly. Sits quite high, but the NATO strap is really nice, makes it quite comfortable. What's really nice is the watch actually does, when you buy this watch, it actually does come with this leather strap with yellow accents. You can see sort of through there. This is unopened, but you can see it comes with this leather strap, which is actually a really nice addition and gives you another sort of piece that it can go with. One of the things that I wanted to show you was just the inside of the box. I do think it is a really nice box. Omega obviously takes a lot of time when it comes to creating boxes that can come, or creating the boxes that come with Omega Speedmasters. And if you look here, it's got this really nice dark motif to it, Dark Side of the Moon, and I think it looks really excellent. So overall, I think the yellow accents make this a really nice contrast with the darker design of this watch. You have a watch that is a great part of sort of the Omega's history, the history of the Speedmaster, and it kind of pays tribute to a wonderful partnership and great successes that Omega and NASA had when they really did discover the dark side of the moon. This watch is in really great condition as well, which I really like. I think the black ceramic has really allowed this piece to be worn and enjoyed really nicely. And if anything, I think one of the things that I would probably do is switch out the watch to have the leather strap. I think it just fits my wrist a little bit better than NATO straps. Again, that's a personal preference, but I think you can have a lot of fun with this watch on a leather or the NATO strap. I think it's a watch that celebrates the accomplishments of both Omega and NASA, and I think is a phenomenal part of an Omega Speedmaster collection, or the Speedmaster that you want to have in your collection as the chronograph that you wear when you're in that sporting mood. Hope you enjoyed taking a look at this Omega Speedmaster Dark Side of the Moon Apollo 8. It really is a beautiful watch. I love the yellow accents. It's a nice sort of different reference for the Dark Side of the Moon, especially when you consider the fact that they used their 9300 automatic movement for most of the Dark Side of the Moon watches. This time they decided to go for the 1861 movement, which I think is a nice deviation and also celebrates the accomplishments of the Apollo 8 mission really nicely. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there's an article on lifeandthewrist.com if you want to take a look at that, read more about this watch there. There are also going to be some images there if you want to take a look at that as well. If you are new to Life on the Wrist, be sure to subscribe to the channel or share this with a friend who might be interested in watches. Check us out on our social media accounts, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we're there, so you can take a look at us there. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about the Apollo 8. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And lastly, if you wouldn't mind liking this video, it really does help me out. With that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time.